Every one of us is producing waste, so it is our responsibility to manage our waste. We encourage all of you to do the simplest way to participate in the waste management systems as part of our responsibility.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Impact Interview. Today, I'm joined by Mas Mimit from Merah Putih Hijau. Hello, Mas Mimit. So happy to have you here.
Hello, Gio. Nice to meet you here.
Yes. So, can you give us a brief introduction about your organization and what problem is it that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, since 2016, Merah Putih Hijau have done the environmental cleanups and community educations in the villages in Bali. In 2017, our founder, Shanino, with the MPH team, established the Yayasan Bumi Sasmaya as the parent organization of the program Merah Putih Hijau. The philosophy behind Merah Putih Hijau was the Merah Putih stands for our national flags, red and white. It means that we operated as local initiatives in Indonesia using the local approach and local wisdoms as the contextualization. And then the hijau means the sustainability, the green purpose, the environmental perspectives, and then by using the merah putih hijau as our Indonesian purpose to march into sustainability. The previous waste management system was centralized in the landfills. So the habit is from the household, we collect the waste and then we transport it directly to the landfills and then dump it. Almost every landfills in Indonesia are near the overcapacity. To solve this waste crisis, we try to decentralize the waste management system into village levels. Up to year of 2023, we have assisted 21 villages, mostly in Gianyar Regency. We also have the pilot project of waste management integration with organic agriculture. We involve 26 farmers in the villages and it's growing. We also opening the job opportunities up to date 125 job opportunities in the waste management facilities. We also involve more than 300 of women volunteers in the village to perform the waste management education in the communities. Yearly, we manage 500 tons of organic materials in the villages and 300 tons of inorganic materials in the facilities. Yearly, we manage to reduce carbon emissions up to 700 tons per year within our village network.
We are actually in one of your facilities in Desa Pejeng. So, can you tell me more about this facility and what it is doing right now?
Yeah, the Pejang facilities existed since 2019, and we came here to improve the waste management system in Pejang village. At first, we teach the women cadres here, women volunteers, how to effectively compose the organic materials. And we also introduce the forced aeration system to blow the air into the compost to fasten up the composting process. So since the 2019, the Pejeng village has become one of our pilot projects in the village about the source-based waste management system. Here in Pejeng village, the households must separate their waste into three types: the organic materials, the inorganic materials, and also the residual waste. It is according with the first principle of MPH, the separation is the key. So by separating the waste, it increases the effectiveness and efficiency of the waste management system. We have the scheduled transportation to pick up the waste from the households to the waste management facilities. The organics have different schedule to pick up with inorganic and residual. With the organic materials already separated in the households, the transportation staff, they drive trucks around the village and bring it to the waste management facilities. So in the waste management facilities here in Pejeng village, we do the further sorting to remove the scraps of plastics and other materials that contaminated the organic materials. So the organic materials. After the further sorting, we shred it into smaller pieces and we put it into a row of piles, and under the every piles we blow the air to give a better circulation of the compost to increase the composting process. And after the composting process for 2 months, we sieve the compost to produce the smoother extract of compost, and then the compost is ready to be sold. We bag it, and the buyers came here to buy the compost in our bags of 10 kilos of compost.
Okay, so you mentioned with the, I think the big issue that people often have is like they sort it out at their house, and then when they see the truck driver come, they just mix everything together. So it's different here in facility because the
Yeah.
trucks have different schedule, and then they already sort out the waste separately, right?
Here in MPH, we try to solve the waste crisis systematically. So, by doing the education from the households, we also integrate it with the transportation systems and waste management facilities improvement. So, by separating the waste from the household, from the transportation up to the facilities, we try to increase the value of recycling materials.
Right. And you mentioned like the organic waste becomes compost and that's also sold. So beyond just waste benefit, like reducing waste, does it also provide economic benefit?
Actually, in the circular economy scheme, we connect the local economies activities with the waste management activities. So we collaborate with the village government to adopt the waste management integration program with the organic agriculture program. Here, the village government also become the customers of the waste management facilities to buy the compost and donate it to the organic agriculture program. So the farmers, as the recipients, they get the compost donated by the village government to initiate the eco-friendly agriculture. With the use of compost, the farmers reduce the use of chemical fertilizers. And by adopting this waste management integration program with organic agriculture program, the government starting to shift the subsidies from the chemical fertilizer subsidies into organic fertilizer subsidies. Here in Pajang, we already started the pilot projects. We train the farmers in Pajang and another 6 villages, total of 26 farmers. So here in Pajang, there are 6 farmers at the beginning, but now it's already been 8 farmers cultivated 1.5 hectares of land using the compost from the facilities. We recommend the use of compost in the agricultural land as much as 4 tons per hectares every seasons.
There's a lot of education that it goes into this like kind of initiative. Like you mentioned, you have to first educate the households to sort out their waste. And you also have to educate the farmers to shift from using chemical fertilizers. So when you started out, like what's the challenge?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was the systematic support in the villages, especially in the local scopes. So without the whole system operating, our initiative is predictably will collapse in the short future. So by using the Merah Putih Hijau approach, which has the circular economy approach, it's a holistic mechanism to support these initiatives. And we support it from the source to the products. So from end to end, we support the system to be sustainable. If the all the initiatives can connect and supporting each other, it creates sustainability.
And when you mention like the end to end, like for the villagers, it's additional work for them initially, especially if they haven't seen the end product, right? That
Yes.
benefits them. So, like, how did you go convincing, especially in the beginning? Like, hey, you need to sort out your waste. Like, what motivated them to do that? Like, what was successful for you guys?
At first, it is hard to transfer such complex knowledge in Merah Putih Hijau. We use the local wisdom. We integrate the Trihita Karana philosophies to the education activities. The villagers needs to know that their waste management activities is related with their belief
Yeah.
of Trihita Karana. By separating the waste, they also help the environment. We also encourage the villagers to reduce the use of plastics in their offerings of their daily ceremony to better connected with the God. So with the Trihita Karana introduced in the waste management education, it is better for the villagers to understand about the reason why they should separate their waste from the households.
And like you mentioned, like you've tried a lot of things, and some like that is like a success story, and like of course some approaches might not have worked. Like, do you also document like that approaches that you have tested? Do you have like a knowledge base?
The documenting of our shared knowledge in our village networks, it's quite challenging because with different villages we have different context and experience. We have 21 villages assisted here in Bali, our MPH programs, and we have 21 also different cases. Sometimes we cannot implement the approach that we've done in the village to another. We try to connect with the academics, the Warmadewa University. This year, we already plan to create research about behavior change in waste management. So we hope that from this knowledge documenting activities, especially we try to collect grassroots knowledge from the communities. We hope we can create a module to support our School of Eco Champions. So we train the Eco Champions to act as MPH staff in the villages. So they can gather data and information to support the waste management system development in the villages. They can do approaches to the village head government, to the village stakeholders, to the communities, and then they also can teach the waste management facility staffs and they can perform the door-to-door education. So with this School of Eco Champions, we aim to multiply the environmental movement in the villages, especially from the waste management activities. Hopefully, with this multiplying waste management movement in Bali, we can solve the waste crisis. We try to reduce the waste sent to the landfill by up to 80%. And by doing this, we prevent the landfills from overcapacities.
So I think before we want to go to the School of Eco Champion, I think you mentioned like the approach across different villages is different. Like, I'm curious to know like what's the concrete example, because like it's always something I'm questioning. Like, how do you implement a program and scale it up? Is it the same? Is it like do you have to adjust for different villages? So if you have a concrete example of like how, for example, Pejeng and like another village is different.
Yeah, we have our 7 steps of waste management development in the villages, but it's a generic framework. But in the villages, we need to contextualize to the local conditions. It's a matter of leadership actually, because the commitment of the village leaders is different one from the others. Some of the head of the villages already fully committed and they even allocated the village budget to support the operation of waste management facilities. But some of them in the daily practice, the commitment is contradictory with the political decision. Sometimes on the fields, we still heard that the local leaders doesn't support the waste management activities. Even the local leaders still support the mixed waste transportation. So with this case, we need more approach to the local leaders. Okay. For example, when the Temesi landfill of Gianyar Regency was temporarily closed, there are different policy created by the local governments, village governments. Some are storing the waste, some are dumping the waste. It's a different approach in every village to support the commitment made by the head of the village government. So that's our challenge in the village assisted programs.
And I think that's why it's even more important to actually document your journey and like have a knowledge base, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's not only for you to learn when you want to implement to other places, but also for other stakeholders that might be interested to learn also, right? In terms of like, I want to talk about that School of Eco Champion you mentioned, like there's a lot of programs about educating in waste management. Why do you decide to have this program specifically? Do you think there's still a gap in the education of waste management?
Yeah, actually, waste management education can be found anywhere, but mostly the education materials is lack of local context. So we need to develop this school of eco champions to better understand the local context of waste management. By knowing these cases by cases in our villages, we try to disseminate the knowledge from the grassroots for the learning process of the eco champions that we created. At first, we developed this school of eco champions because we understand that our waste management education is fail because the education activities didn't follow by the operating systems. In order to operate sustainably, the waste management system in the village needs to be connected in a holistic way.
And in terms of like who can be an eco champion? Is there like a age range or like a requirement that they have to have knowledge in waste management before?
Yeah, actually, the youth and the women is our main audience for the School of Eco Champions because they mostly committed to the social and environmental purposes. So these youth and the women have been our supporters in the villages, and with this commitment of the local leaders, we hope that we can ensure the continuation of the waste management education after the Merah Putih Hijau program is done in the villages. The program is only temporary, so we need the villagers to continue the waste management movement in the villages.
Right.
The local leaders have the range of age between 25 up to 50 years old.
The School of Eco Champion is like one of your initiatives to solve Bali or Indonesia's waste problem. Like looking forward, like what are your other plans?
We aim to create the sustainability from the villages throughout Indonesia. So if Balinese can do this waste management integration with other systems in the villages, it can be implemented also in other parts of Indonesia.
How can people like support the cause that you're doing? Like what kind of support do you need? Is it donation? Is it volunteering?
We try to accommodate any initiative that come to find us. Mostly we rely upon the donation from the people. You can donate through our websites. There are links to it. And we also do the collaboration with other projects or with companies. We also collaborate with the corporate social responsibility programs and international NGOs also with the same purpose on the waste management projects.
And like especially for like people who are actually interested in waste management and the issue of environment in general, like what are some important messages that you yourself would give them based on your experience? You know, you've been in MPH for quite a while.
Since the beginning, we try to create this waste management movement and we educate the communities, the students, and also doing the environmental cleanups. We hope that the communities can spread the words of the waste management initiatives, perform the simplest way of waste management activities by separating the waste from the households, from the source. Every one of us is producing waste, so it is our responsibility to manage our waste. We encourage all of you to do the simplest way to participate in the waste management systems as part of our responsibility.
Right. And if people want to learn more about the organization, about Merah Putih Hijau, where can they find you guys?
Actually, we also opening for volunteers activities. You can find the announcement in our websites or in our social media. Last time we do the door-to-door education. There are volunteers to participate. Next time we have the environmental cleanup activities, and everyone's also welcome.
For everyone who's interested in learning more about Merah Putih Hijau and being participant of their program, there's a lot of opportunity for you to check out. Thank you, Mas Mimit, for your time.
Okay, thank you, Gio.